Hey, I'm Grant, and welcome to the State of the Channel for November 13th. So the main thing I want to talk about is this weekend I've been working a lot on OSRS videos. I have the one OSRS video blind in the can I'm trying to edit, and then I'm also putting together right now a On the Rune discussion video. What I think I'm going to commit to for the foreseeable future is I'm going to be having one RuneScape OSRS video come out every other week, opposite of the podcast. So if the podcast comes out the first Friday of the month, the next Friday is going to be a OSRS video. I'm leaving it up in the air right now what kind of video it is, because there will be some weeks, I think, where I can film a whole bunch of OSRS blind, or it's just a multi-part series, in which case I will just keep alternating with that, if possible. Or there are going to be a lot more cases where it's just going to be just me, and I'm going to be doing a discussion video. Internally, which hopefully is something you care about if you're watching this series, is what I'm going to be working on is just a big backlog of those. Because I've talked before, I think those are very important to hopefully the growth of the channel. They have very good stats, and honestly, they have a great output for what input they take. Something like the podcast, when we film that, that is a lot of time for essentially creating a product that is a lot harder to market because there's not that kind of initial investment. Now, given the podcast is great because once you achieve some kind of that investment, like just with people who know me and who are already kind of like, oh, well, they're somewhat invested. They know who I am, what I'm about, that kind of thing. It does well. So that's what it's good for, but I could see the OSRS stuff being something that an average person could find the channel with. And then hopefully I can keep that going. I'd hopefully plan on eventually ramping that up because 2 videos a month isn't a great way to grow the channel. Like, yeah, to me, I know I'm actually putting out way more, but if you just care about the OSR stuff, and maybe eventually you'd care about the podcast, no, coming back every 2 weeks might be a little much. Or it'll just be kind of like, I'm sure I'll see you again, and then I'll binge do the rest of your videos. It doesn't translate to a subscription. But what I need to figure out is, can I commit to that? Do I run out of ideas? Now all of a sudden, yeah, I can't even meet the 2-week one. Or do I realize that, hey, I have this down now. I can make 3 videos a week. Why am I only releasing them every other week? That's what I'm hoping is going to happen. But that's my main goal. Otherwise, I'm fairly committed to starting a software project in these coming weeks. And in order to do that, I want to first teach myself the CSS, and I'm going to ideally work on ramping up the website. The website's solid, but it still needs a good amount of just solid work before it's what I want it to be. So I'm definitely looking at that. And I've officially started filming the Resident Evil stuff. That's my next big thing. So right now my priorities are the OSRS videos, getting a consistent schedule with that. That's very important. And that's the same reason why I did that with the podcast. 2, getting the Resident Evil stuff going, because that's something I want to be coming out consistently alongside it. That's something that I think is going to be important to the channel. And now that I've started filming, and I believe I have some semblance of a format that will let me just record large batches and then edit them down. I don't have to say film for an hour and then hope I get 1 episode out of it. It should be good. And once that's done, hopefully I'll have a good schedule where I can just say, hey, these are releasing fast enough that it's interesting, but I have enough time to work it. Then hopefully this will just be something that I can just play scary games on the channel constantly. That's kind of the eventual goal. I just want to play a lot of scary games, and I need to find a way to do that that fits along everything else. So that's the goal with Resident Evil, and I think I hopefully have cracked it after looking at kind of how Chopped You Drop did. I think I should be good. And that's the plan, I think, for the coming weeks. I'd also, internally, I'm trying to get the podcast to be a little more consistent, because it really needs to be something where, on one hand, the longer the people on the podcast wait between podcasts, the better it is, because there's more that has happened. There's more time to do research, like, oh, we can talk about these topics, I can bring these facts to support it, or just things come up. On the other hand, the longer I wait to do the podcast, the more work it is to edit. Like, yeah, ideally, if we did the podcast Thursday night, that would have the most possible content in it. But then I would only have maybe 2 hours to edit it. So it would be very likely be just put it in, sync it up, chop chop, and then you get one pass. And you just basically, I wouldn't let myself rewind it. Is if I see something, I fix it. If not, it's just part of that. And that would suck. So it's got to be somewhere in between. I'm still trying to find that happy medium. Right now, I'm mainly branching off to see if I can't find some other cast, essentially, so that I have, say, 8 people I could pull from to the show. And that will both, one, give me more flexibility, but two, also hopefully have more things to talk about. So hopefully that's going to go well, and we'll see. But that's something that's very up in the air. Right now, the podcast isn't priority. I'm just focusing on keeping that on schedule while I do all the other tasks. And that's why I would love to find a way for that to get done earlier in the week instead of being like a Wednesday night that I stay up like super late to just kind of crank it all out. So that's my goal there. So that's all. I just wanted to really squeeze this Stay the Channel out pretty early, because one of the main reasons I do this is not even necessarily for anyone to consume this, but by making these Stay the Channel, it's very inspirational. It kind of makes me committed. If I say I'm going to go do this weekend, well, it's like, well, then I kind of have to go do it. Whereas if I wait till Sunday night and film this, I kind of know what I did already. It's not as big of a deal. As always, you can follow me over on Twitter. It's at take4grantd. I always reply. I love reading the comments people send me. Or over on my email, it's grant@taken4grantd.com, which I also check all the time. It forwards straight into my normal inbox, so I should never miss that. But thanks for watching, and I will hopefully see you guys again next week.